Hey guys, crude oil, Sunday, May 21st, 2023. What a disappointing end to the week in crude. I'd been stalking a short position. This originally is a very nice looking A, B, and I was counting it originally as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal for wave C, which would have been the perfect 1, 2 setup to the downside. But then I didn't like, and I ended up, I was in the last month contract. I built into this very nice large short position, and I put it all on the July contract at 72.76. And it started to move down. I thought, oh, this is great. Then it came back up, but the way it was moving, I left it on. I took the heat, and then as it came back down, I started taking it off because I just don't like this structure. It's just moving in threes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You could even argue, whatever. It's messy. There's a bunch of threes in here. And after, if it had kept coming down, great. But it didn't. And so I got out of the shorts. I made a few bucks, but it's disappointing because for me, it was a very large, full size. Like I can't add any more. It's over. And I put it all on it at 72.76, and it just very disappointing. So now I've changed this. If you're at EWT.net, go to the beginner circle and look for BC and DC. You'll see a wonderful thread with responses from great experienced traders, mainly Steve Chandler, with details. It's very educational, interesting. In any case, I'm flat, and what I'm doing now is just reverting back to parameters, simple parameters. And I get my parameters not just from Elliott Wave, but from Strat and also just basic TA and supply demand zones, etc. So it's obvious 73.89 is an important level to the upside. This gray zone has been on my chart for a very, very long time. It's supply demand zone that price likes to interact with because, as you know, price has memory. So I find it very helpful to always remember where has price been. So in this case, it's banging up into this resistance here. So the last chance for shorts is that if this doesn't come up and make a new high, and then if somehow this is a nano wave 3, and then now we're in a nano wave 4, and you get a follow through for a wave 5, and then you get a 3-wave correction. I mean, come on, this thing has been moving in threes. Why is it suddenly going to follow standards? It's like it's all over the place. Every time it starts to follow something standardish, and I get a little into it and get excited to go full size, and then I have to either take it off or take smaller gains or even take loss based on this overlapping structure. So go trade something else. What my plan is to keep a very close eye on silver. I know, off topic for this video, but why keep trying to trade an instrument that is not behaving well when there may be another instrument that has a setup that is a little more compelling, a little more standard, like regarding Elliott Wave. So for me, that's silver coming up soon. So you're going to, whichever presents itself first, I'm going to take a shot, either in crude oil or silver. So this is one potential downside setup for crude, which I have very low confidence. And this has been my alt for the last week. And, it's also not high confidence because the way it's moving along, I would describe this as it can crab its way, just crabbing along and come up here in a series of 3 waves. Like, for example, if this is A, B, C, and then this is another A, B, C. So this would be A, B, C for A. This is A, B, C for B. And then, the only way I would trade this to the long side is if you get something standardish, meaning you make a new high, get above 73.89, you get some kind of a retrace, or if you get 5 up nano that doesn't exceed that, but then you get a 3-wave retrace. In other words, if this is the final wave C of what I'm calling C, so call it C of C, after this A, B, and now C, then this should be tradable. But so I'm going to wait, though. I'm going to wait. Let this early in the week. Let's see what this is going to do. So the two potentials for trading are, this is a wave 4, and you get a 5th wave down, and you get a 3-wave retrace, get short. Or this low right here actually holds, and you get something resembling an impulse with a wave 2 nano, and then get on board if it keeps coming higher and gets above the top of that wave one, wherever that ends up being. So that's like short-term view. So going back, getting the clues from the longer time frames, honestly, I mean, I could talk about this. Okay, this is a potential. It was a very nice looking downside setup, but then it came up and made a newer high, making this more complex with all these threes in here. So could this still be a 1-2 to the downside? Yeah, I mean, it could be, sure. But, as long as it's in between, you see this support resistance zone acting as it's labeled support resistance. See this support? It's, obviously it lost it there, but now it's behaving again. So it's really right in this window. I know it's like a $4 range. I think that'll decide. So, if it gets above 73.89, I'm looking for 78. If it breaks down here, then I'm looking for 65. Let's say. So, but I honestly have no edge. If you look at the technicals, starting with these technicals, at the moment they're bearish on but they've been flip flopping right here towards the end of the week. So it's not totally helpful. There's not a very clean setup there. The technicals on the daily, it's a bounce in progress. You do have a bit of a divergence here, positive divergence, if you want to call it that. I mean, yeah, that's I could get with that. So then and there already is the bounce. So and I put these boxes on there. So what I'm thinking is same thing I just said on the lower time frames. If it loses this range to the downside, then I'm looking for much lower. If it breaks out at 73.89, then I'm looking for it to get up into this box at a minimum. So, and I think either one of those ideas is tradable. The key is to be patient. That's what I'm doing. I'm flat right now. If you look at the weekly, looking at strat, I like to just identify the middle section of a range, the 50% level, and you can see we're right there at it right now. So it's just showing you the same box, basically the same kind of $4 range. Just looking at it on the weekly, and the technicals on the weekly are bearish. The only thing about the weekly that I will say that is really getting my attention, I'm watching it closely, is this 5 dots on the squeeze tool. I did a look back 30 years. It's only happened a couple of times where you have a legitimate, 2 times to be specific. And the last time you had a legit setup on this tool was before the March 2020 debacle crash. So, and the point is, not that I'm saying there's going to be a crash or a melt up, but what I'm saying is that when this condition is present, the move that eventually takes hold once the dots are released, and the dots are gone. The dots have released. So 5 dots is a legit setup, and it's released to the downside. So that's a clue, though, because it's not following through to the downside. But if it starts following through to the downside, going back to that nano stuff I was just talking about, there's a very good chance that this really does come down and get much deeper down into here. So this tool is giving me the warning that that's possible. But having said that, even though this is released to the downside, there's no follow through. So if it's suddenly, even if it's crabbing and moving in threes, if it starts moving higher and gets above 73.89, then I think it's very likely, looking for at least a $4 move to the upside, and potentially much more. If the bottom is in, and these momentum tools finally start getting bullish, by then $4 will have gone by already to the upside. But the point is, if it starts following through the upside, this tool suggests there's a whole lot more upside, as in maybe the bottom is in kind of upside. So even if it's moving in threes, fine. Maybe I'll buy some USO calls or something on a pullback further out in time. Because if the bottom is in, it's going to go much higher, and it's going to take a long time of crabbing its way going higher. Anyway, so I'm just keeping an eye on that tool, even though right now these technicals are bearish on the weekly. And of course on the monthly, I'll just look at that parameter. I like to look at the middle of the range, which is 70.16, and the top of the monthly range, 76.69. Actually, that's not a bad target if on the micro. If this does start to follow through, that would be a good place to take gains, 76.69. But the technicals remain bearish on the monthly. Not too helpful. It's like a slow-moving boat. So anyway, this is really where it's at. Is this a 3 and you're getting a 4 now and you're going to get a 5 down to complete 1 of 5? Or is this just going to move in threes and just overlap itself. And this is really a bottom of sorts, just micro, and that we're going to get a 5-wave move up to here. I have no idea. What a beast. I'm going to keep an eye on silver, and depending on where I'm at, if silver starts to look like it's bottoming, I'm going to take a shot with silver futures. I can't trade both because I'm going to be using some size in either one. So it depends how it unfolds. Anyway, that's what I got. Good luck. Follow the pros. It's a mess. Moving in threes. Trade at your own risk. See ya.